to this Facebook Live that I'm hosting tonight. In particular, I'm hosting it to answer questions and to talk a little bit about our next retreat, which is happening in April at the Stage Neck Inn, the Self-Care by the Sea retreat, which I offer twice a year. And usually when I offer the retreats, they sometimes, the topics change. And this time, this retreat is a brand new retreat. It's called The Business of You, and it's all about making a living doing what you love. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight and offer some, hopefully some information that will be useful to you if you're someone who wants to do work that you love or earn a living doing what you love. If you're someone who's thinking about becoming self-employed, or maybe you are self-employed and you want to be even more successful at what you're doing. And I'll also then look at your comments and do my best to answer questions as we go along. I'll be here for about 15 or 20 minutes. So, so the retreat is in April in York, Maine, which is just a little north of where I am in Massachusetts. And I decided to do this retreat about earning a living doing what you love because, I mean, quite frankly, first of all, I wanted to change things up for myself. I wanted to bring a different slant to the work that I'm doing. Normally, the retreats are related to personal growth and personal development and practicing good self-care, and this will certainly be a part of that. But this is really about self-care as it relates to creating meaningful work or doing meaningful work in the world. And part of that is because, you know, we spend so much of our time at work. A lot of people spend hours commuting at work, commuting back home, and things are really changing in the world of work. More and more people are turning to entrepreneurship, to becoming self-employed. A lot of people are starting to work virtually. They're making arrangements with their workplace so that they can work at home for a certain amount of the time, sometimes full-time, sometimes part-time, which is fantastic because for years, employers had no interest in allowing employees to be virtual, and now they seem to be far more open to that, especially for the employees who do an awesome job, the ones that they really want to keep. So, I remember several years ago, a friend of mine, James Altucher, published a book called Choose Yourself. And I remember reading the book and thinking, boy, he has his finger on the pulse of where we're headed in this country in terms of making a shift from 9 to 5 or 8 to 7 corporate jobs to having more control over our lives. And I'm somebody who's been self-employed for the last 25 years. I was employed while I was building my business in order to pay the bills, and then eventually went out on my own, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I would never want to do a long commute. I like to be able to go to the gym in the morning. I like to be able to make my own hours. I like to be able to work when I have the energy to do it and take a break when I don't have the energy to do it. So I really like being in charge of my life. And that's what I want to support people in doing, in having more choices about how they live their lives and how they essentially express their work. So when I read James's book, Choose Yourself, I thought, boy, it's an inspiring read. It's a book I recommend to lots of people. It's an inspiring read about making that shift from corporate America to entrepreneurship, if it's right for you. It's not right for everybody, thank goodness, because we need people working in corporate America. But I decided that for this retreat, I really wanted to take people who had something they were passionate about, whether it was a product or a service. You might have a book or, yes, but some kind of a product that you're selling, a service that you're offering. You could be a therapist or a coach or a veterinarian or, a yoga teacher or a massage therapist. I mean, whatever, some kind of service that you're offering to people or a product. You might be selling your art, or you might be selling a book, or you might be selling technology. I mean, any kind of product or service, but I wanted to take a group of people who already had something they were passionate about and maybe were already doing it as a business and wanted to take it up a notch, wanted to make more money, keep more money, experience more success. Or you might be somebody that's starting out and wanting to know exactly what's the most efficient and effective way to bring your product or service to the world without struggling. Now, there's a lot of people who teach things like this, and I have to say I'm not. I'm probably a bit different in that I'm high touch. I like working with people in person. I'm not a big fan of online courses for this kind of thing. I'm not a big fan of teaching online courses in that way because, truth be told, people spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on online courses that will help them to become entrepreneurs or to be more successful. And then they end up not doing anything with the courses, which I think is insane. They get inspired, they do a little bit, and then they drop the ball. And that makes me crazy. A lot of money is wasted and a lot of time is wasted. The other thing about that is, as a coach, I'm always working with individuals, helping them to use their own experience, their own desire, their own passion, their own unique way of communicating with the world to help them do meaningful work and to earn a living doing what they love. And it's different for everybody. It just is. There are certain things that are standard for everyone, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But for the most part, marketing your services, marketing yourself, selling yourself is different for everybody because it has to be based on who you are and what feels comfortable to you and what you're good at, quite frankly, what you're good at. So I wanted to do a retreat that would help you to bring your passion to the world in a way that was, for the most part, fun and inspiring and doing so in a way that you actually look forward to instead of like, oh my God, I have to do marketing, or oh, I have to do social media, or I have to sell myself. Instead of it feeling like a chore, you're actually really excited to do it. And so during the retreat, as I always do in all of my retreats, I'll be working with individuals, individual business owners, individual people who have their passion that they want to bring to the world in a way that everybody in the room can learn from. It's just how I operate. Now, there's a few things that we'll be doing that will be standard for everyone. Like, we're going to talk about money. And what does it mean to grow a successful business that's actually profitable? Like, how do you know how much money your business is making, how much money your business is spending, whether or not you're profitable? There's a lot of people who are doing work that they love and they're actually losing money. In which case, if that happens, the IRS says that if you lose money 3 out of 5 years, it's a hobby, it's not a business. And I think that's an important guideline. So it's important as a business owner to know, is your business making money and is it profitable? And are you spending money on the right things? And are you being efficient with the money that you do have? And how do you increase that money over time? So the business of money is important. I, as a former tax consultant and as somebody who was fortunate enough to grow up in a family business where my dad taught me at a very young age about reading profit and loss statements and balance sheets and understanding how to keep track of money, how to actually have a comfortable and dare I say, exciting relationship with money. I think it's important for every business owner to make peace with money and to use it to their advantage. And that is something that we're going to talk about. For example, how do you prepare for paying taxes instead of getting hit with the big bill in April and thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? This is crazy. I'm not going to do this anymore, which happens to a lot of business owners that I've coached over the years. So how do you just take good care of the money you have, and why that's important? Why it's important, because when we're good stewards for the money we already have, we actually allow ourselves to make more. That's a real important piece that I'll talk more about during the retreat as well. So We're going to look at money. We're going to look at some of the emotional blocks that get in the way for people feeling envious of others, or feeling like you can't sell yourself, or feeling like everybody else is more successful than you, or you don't have the goods, or you need more education or more training. Sometimes that's true. A lot of times it isn't. What are the components of a successful business? What's some of the ongoing support that you need? How does creative brainstorming help you to craft action plans that keep you going on a regular basis? Or what does it mean to be a member of a mastermind group? And why is that important to have in place so that you stay focused on the things that are most important to building your business? These are some of the things we're not only going to talk about, but you're actually going to have a chance to experience during the retreat, because I like my retreats to be experiential and intuitive and focused on real life situations that exist in the room in a way that benefits everyone. So the people who are the people that should come to the retreat? You should already have a passion, maybe already have a business. If you don't have a business in place, but you know something you're passionate about that you want to bring to the world, that you actually want to earn a living. So the reason I said earlier in the beginning of this, it may not necessarily be a book. A book is oftentimes one small way to create passive income. It's not, you can't have a whole business based, it's rare that you can have a whole business just based on a book. So you want to be a business owner or have a passion that you want to make into a business. That's what you want to have in place in order for the retreat to be most effective for you. You want to be able to afford the retreat. Please don't register for the retreat if you can't afford it. That's a rule I've always had from years ago when I used to coach. If you can't afford to take an online program even, or attend a retreat, and you go into debt to do so, then you put an awful lot of pressure on yourself and the event to make it worth the pain that you've caused yourself by going into debt. Does that make sense? So you want to be able to easily afford the fee, easily afford the cost of the retreat. And the good news is that there's a percentage, if not, all of it, that will be a business expense. You always want to check with your accountant, but because this retreat is geared towards business owners, it's more of a business retreat and therefore a business expense. So yeah, and if you're somebody who's tired of making everybody else money, and you feel like you're a smart person who could actually make money for yourself, and if you want to start feeling more in control of your life, being able to make your own hours, and just a mind-numbing commute, or just want to be more in charge of your energy and how you use it, then this might be a retreat that you want to attend. I'm looking forward to it. And if you have any questions related to the retreat, feel free to put them in the comments section, and I will scroll through the comments right now, have a look and see if there are any questions I can answer for you, or even any questions about being self-employed. Mary says, hello, Cheryl. As you know, I've been self-employed my whole life, and myself and my staff all work part-time to ensure self-care. Well, how awesome is that, right? That's the other thing that we're going to talk about is, when is it time to hire other people, and what's the most cost-effective and wise way to hire other people, and how do you set them up for success? That's really important. A lot of self-employed people, especially solo entrepreneurs, end up going far too long trying to do everything themselves, when hiring someone like, for example, a virtual assistant could be a really smart thing to do in order to free up some of your time to do what you do best. And we're going to talk about that as well. And I love, Mary, that your commitment is to your own self-care and the self-care of your staff. I think that's terrific. So the retreat is called Self-Care by the Sea. It's in York, Maine at the Stage Neck Inn. If you go to CherylRichardson.com, you can read all about it. And I'll put a link here when we're done. Adrian, I'm responding to you. And this particular retreat is called The Business of You, and it's all about helping people to take take something they're passionate about and bring it to the world, or take a business, passion that they're already bringing to the world to a whole other level of success. So, how many people go to the retreat? We usually keep it around 50 people, between 50 and 60. This one, I'm always reluctant to put a definitive number. I mean, I have before, but sometimes we end up with 5 extra people, and I want to be straight about that. I'm probably going to keep it to around 50, and I think we have, it's happening in the middle of April, and I think we have 25 to 30 people registered so far. So, thank you. Kath says she loves my new website. I appreciate that. Andrew says, hi, Cheryl. I'm self-employed, but also working as a consultant for another company for the consistent income. Smart guy, Andrew. How do I keep from resenting the constraints this other job puts on me while I save money to invest in my own business? This is a really great question, Andrew, and it's something that we always talk about. I'm always talking about with clients, and we'll be addressing at the retreat. Here's the thing, Andrew. When I started out building a coaching practice, I was in the same boat. I was working as a consultant for an outplacement company. I was helping people who were being laid off to find new jobs, to find meaningful work. And so I was leading seminars for this company and doing one-on-one consulting for their clients. And one of the ways that I helped myself, one of the ways I prevented myself from feeling resentful was twofold. Number one, I saw the consulting work that I was doing as supporting me in heading somewhere. So I didn't, in some ways, Andrew, it was like I didn't even see it as separate from building my business. I saw it as one of the business development strategies that I was engaged in, number one. Number two, I really liked the work that I was doing, and I think that that's important. I was, and I was always looking for ways to feel engaged in that work so it didn't feel stale to me. And then there was a number three, and I'm trying to remember what it was because it was important. Okay, this isn't it, but this is another one. I also really paid attention, Andrew, to the consulting work that I was doing. I kept asking myself, what am I learning here that I can take into the business? Oh, I know what the other one was, a plan of action. Let me just make a note so I don't forget, because I'll talk about that in a second. So I kept looking for, are there connections I'm making in my current consulting work that will be beneficial to me in my business? Really like strategically building meaningful relationships with people, because everybody is a source of support for you in your business without a doubt. Is there anything that I'm learning? I learned a lot about working with people. I learned a lot about coaching from the individuals that I was working with as a consultant, for sure. I learned a lot about the kind of people I wanted to work with and the kind of people that would be best for someone else to work with. So keep asking yourself, what's here for me that's going to support my business, for sure? And then have a plan of action. This is really important, Andrew. Make sure that you set aside consistent time where you're working on your business, where you feel like there's forward movement, where you are really actively involved in building that business, so it feels real and it feels like it's moving forward, and it feels like you've got this direction you're headed, you've got this destination that you're headed to, so that you really do feel like you have an end game in place and you can see the writing on the wall in terms of when it's time to leave the consulting work. And then I would say this, I think this is number 5, Andrew. Be really, really grateful every day. Make a list of 5 things that you're grateful for at your consulting company, at the other job that you're doing. Make a list of 5 things you're grateful for. Like, look for 5 things to be grateful for every single day from this organization, so that it keeps reinforcing the fact that this job, it's putting food on the table, it's allowing you to build your business without stress and suffering, which is huge. I mean, I'm always telling people, don't quit your day job. If you don't have a consistent source of income coming in, You have a choice about how you build your business, and this is a big part of the retreat as well. The goal is for you to bring your passion to the world, to build your business in a way that's enjoyable and as stress-free as possible. There's going to be some stress, but we can mitigate a lot of the stress if we make sure that we're taking good care of our finances and doing things like, I keep pointing to your comment as if you're there, Andrew, doing things like working a job so that we're able to pay the bills. So the fact that this job is helping you to build the business without worrying is something to be grateful for. Because here's the thing, if your business, well, all business needs customers. And whenever you desperately need a customer, number one, you're not going to put your best foot forward when building a business. Number two, people can smell desperation before you even walk in the room. Energetically, I'm a big believer in energy. Our energy says so much about us before we even open our mouths. And if we're desperate to get a client or desperate to get a customer or desperate to get somebody to buy our product or our service, it comes through loud and clear. It's not attractive. And I mean that in an energetic sense. So I hope that's helpful, Andrew. Let me know in the comments if that was helpful to you. Let's see. Yes. Yes, Jessica. So the retreat is for entrepreneurs, people who actually want to build a business either on their own or, part-time or full-time. And I've been a business coach. I started out as a business coach, interestingly enough. I was a former tax consultant. I was a business coach for many years. I wrote Take Time for Your Life, which was my first book. And when Oprah found the book and invited me on the show, I suddenly became a coach for a large general audience and moved away from the business coaching for a number of years. In the last probably 4 or 5 years, as somebody who's also an angel investor, meaning I invest in the early stages of startup companies through an organization I belong to, I started to get back into doing more of the business coaching, with some of the companies that I've invested in. And I love business, and I love helping people to take charge of their work lives. And to me, building a business, reaching more people, having more control over your life is kind of creative. I think of business as art. So to me, it's quite a creative thing to do. So anyway, all right. I said I was not going to go on and on and on. Andrew, I hope this was helpful for you. And yes, hello to everybody who's here. Hi, Don and Lisa and Wendy and Angela and Sarah. Thank you all for being here. Kath and Vivian and Kim. Hi, Kim. It's great to see you. Beautiful photographs. I've seen yours. Jamie. Joining me. I will put a link to the retreat here when I'm done, so you'll be able to go to CherylRichardson.com. It will take you right there. And if you're in the area and this feels like something, if you feel ready to take your business to another level or to move away from working for someone else and toward working for yourself, then I would love to help you. And I'll do that at the retreat. So, okay, that's it. Thank you all for being here. You're very welcome. And hopefully I'll see you at the retreat. And if not, I'll see you at another Facebook Live for sure. All right. Take good care, everybody. Bye.